When I burst into Spin Cycle Laundromat at 8:30 p.m., the last thing I expected to see was a girl dancing to The Weeknd by washing a machine number 7 while her laundry spun. Her long chestnut hair flowed with her movement, and that tight pink top highlighted every curve of her body. Those short denim shorts left little to the imagination. And her legs, God, what legs! Not now, I muttered under my breath, trying to focus on my basket of dirty laundry instead of how perfectly those shorts fit. The girl turned around, noticing my presence, and a smile lit up her face. Oh, hey! She stopped the music on her phone. Sorry if I'm bothering you. The acoustics in here are just amazing. I tried not to stare at how her breasts rose slightly with each breath. Failed miserably. No, it's cool. I managed, feeling my IQ plummet. I'm Alex. Sophia. She extended her hand. And when I shook it, I felt how soft her skin was. Do you usually do laundry this late? Only when my schedule gets completely screwed. I loaded my clothes into the neighboring machine. What about you, night owl? Plus fewer people in the evening, I can dance without judgment. I couldn't help but smile. This girl was like a breath of fresh air after a day spent in an office full of suits. So, you're a professional laundromat dancer? Yeah. I even have special choreography for the delicate cycle. She laughed. And that sound was better than any music. What do you do besides catching girls during their solo concerts? Architect. I design buildings that don't fall down. Wow, serious guy. She leaned over her machine, pulling out wet laundry, and I nearly lost the ability to speak coherently when I saw her top lift slightly, revealing a strip of perfectly tanned skin. God help me, I thought, trying to focus on my detergent label. I'm usually not this serious. Just been a long day. Then you need to relax. Sophia tossed her clothes into the dryer. You know what? I'll buy you coffee from the vending machine as compensation for making you witness my terrible dancing. It wasn't terrible. I protested faster than I could think. She stopped and turned to me with a mischievous smile. Then what was it? Trap. Pure trap, and I walked right into it. Hypnotic, I finally managed. Her cheeks flushed slightly, but her smile grew wider. Careful with the compliments, architect. A girl might think you're flirting with her. What if I am flirting? Then she moved closer. Close enough that I could smell her perfume. Something fresh with jasmine notes. I'd say you're pretty good at it. Her phone suddenly rang and she glanced at the screen. Oh no, my friend Mia already called a cab. She quickly started gathering her things from the dryer. We're going to a pajama party and I completely lost track of time. Want me to help? I walked over to her dryer. You're an angel. She threw me a grateful look. But you know what? Just take my stuff with you. I don't have time to sort through it right now. But what about we'll meet tomorrow and swap back? She was already running toward the exit. Just take good care of my lingerie, architect, and she vanished, leaving me with a pile of women's clothing in the question. What had I gotten myself into? 30 minutes later, I stood by my dryer, staring at a pile of someone else's underwear. Among my usual t-shirts and jeans were a lacy black bra that looked devastatingly expensive, a pair of ivory cold thong panties, and my brain short-circuited. No, 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 I muttered, feeling blood rush to my cheeks. This cannot be happening. I imagined Sophia wearing this set and quickly shook my head. This was wrong. I barely knew this girl. But when I picked up that bra, I couldn't help thinking about how small it was and how perfectly it must fit her. The drive home was torture. The bag with her clothes sat in the passenger seat, and I kept glancing at it. What the hell was wrong with me? I was acting like some perverted teenager. At home, I put her clothes on my dresser and tried not to think about them. Failed. When I brushed my teeth, I thought about her. When I went to bed, I thought about her smile, about how she moved to the music, about how her eyes sparkled when she flirted with me. And I also thought about how tomorrow I'd have to give her back this lingerie. And I had no idea how to do that without looking like an idiot. The next day, I stood outside the Grind Cafe downtown holding a bag of women's underwear and feeling like a pervert. Several women were giving me strange looks and I was ready to disappear into the ground. Sorry I'm late. Sophia appeared from across the street in a short red dress that hugged her figure so perfectly it made my mouth go dry. Wow. I forgot what I wanted to say. Thanks. She approached me and I caught that same perfume. It's a new dress. First time wearing it. It looks good on you. Just good. She leaned closer and I saw freckles on her nose I hadn't noticed before. I was hoping for something more exciting. You look. I let my gaze slide over her figure, stopping at the curve of her hips, like a living dream. Now that's better, she smiled. Where's my lingerie? I held out the bag, but she didn't take it. Just like that, on the street, she raised an eyebrow. Alex, I'm not some club girl. At least ask me for coffee. Of course. Sorry. Want some coffee? I do, and I want to hear how you spent the night with my lingerie. I nearly choked on my saliva. What? Well, you didn't throw it away, did you? I hope you took good care of it. She played with a strand of hair, wrapping it around her finger. My bra is very high maintenance. We sat at a table by the window, and Sophia crossed her legs, showing off their length. I tried to focus on the coffee. Want to know the truth? She said, leaning across the table. Yesterday, I deliberately left my lingerie with you. What? Not for what you're thinking, she laughed. I was just curious if you'd be a gentleman. Most guys would have behaved differently. Did I behave correctly? We'll see. She reached out and touched my fingers. Tell me honestly, what did you do with it? After yesterday, I don't know what to think about you anymore. Good. She didn't remove her hand. That means I'm mysterious. Men like that, Sophia. I caught her hand. Are you playing with me? Always. She smiled. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy your company. What does that mean? It means I want to get to know you better. Find out what else is good about you besides your hands and natural scent. I felt my pulse quicken. How do you plan to do that? What are you doing tonight? She stroked my palm with her thumb. Right now, nothing special. Want to come to my place? I'll cook dinner. You bring wine. That sounds dangerous. She smiled. Because it is. Fair warning, I'm unpredictable. I might cook naked. I nearly choked on my coffee for the second time that day. Are you serious? You'll see. She stood up, took the bag, and kissed my cheek. Address is in the bag. 9 o'clock. And Alex? Yeah. Wear that Pink Floyd t-shirt. I really like it. All day I couldn't concentrate on work. My thoughts kept returning to Sophia. How she touched my hand. How she kissed my cheek. How she said she might cook naked. Jesus Christ. By 6 p.m., I realized it was hopeless. I packed up and went home to prepare for whatever I was preparing for. The shower took 20 minutes instead of my usual 5. I changed cologne 3 times and jeans twice. When I put on the Pink Floyd t-shirt, I looked at myself in the mirror and thought, dude, you've completely lost it. But I didn't care. At the store, I stood by the wine shelf for 15 minutes, trying to choose something that wouldn't look too cheap or too expensive. Finally grabbed a mid-range red wine and hoped I wouldn't screw up. At 9:05 p.m., I stood outside her apartment door with a bottle of red wine and a heart pounding like crazy. Soft music drifted from behind the door and something smelled incredibly delicious. The door opened and I felt my jaw drop. Sophia stood in a short silk robe the color of champagne that barely covered her thighs. Her hair was gathered in a loose bun with strands falling out. You came. She smiled, and there was something new in her voice, something more intimate. Did you cook naked? I managed. Come in and find out. She took my hand and pulled me inside. The apartment was like Sophia herself, bright, cozy, with unexpected details. Candles scattered throughout created soft romantic lighting. Great wine, she said, reading the label. And the t-shirt. She ran her hand over my chest. Even better. Sophia. My voice became husky. What are we doing? What do you want to do? She moved closer, so close I could feel the warmth of her body through the thin silk. I stopped looking into her eyes. I want to know if this is real. What exactly? Whatever's been happening between us since that first moment in that damn laundromat. Sophia raised her hands and placed them on my chest. What do you think is happening? I think I put my arms around her waist, feeling how perfectly she fit against me. I'm falling for a girl who dances in laundromats and wears lingerie that makes my head spin. Does that scare you? Terrifies me. Good. She smiled and reached up to me because it terrifies me, too. When our lips touched, I realized all my previous kisses had just been rehearsals. Sophia kissed like living fire, passionate, tender, with a taste of danger and promise. You know, she whispered when we finally pulled apart. I really did cook naked. Seriously? No, she laughed. But under this robe, I'm only wearing the lingerie you held in your hands yesterday. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Sophia. And you know what? She untied the robe's belt. I think it's time you finally see how it looks on me. The robe fell to the floor. Jesus Christ. I breathed. She stood before me in that same black lace set I'd held in my hands last night. But seeing it on her, that was completely different. The lace accentuated every curve of her body, and the black color contrasted with her tanned skin. Do you like it? She turned around, showing off the perfect curves of her body. Like is too mild a word for what I'm feeling right now. I could barely speak. Then show me. She pulled me by my t-shirt. Show me what you're feeling. I pulled her to me and kissed her again, but this time more passionately. My hands found their way to her thighs, to the curve of her back, to all those places I'd been dreaming about since last night. Alex. She whispered my name in a way that sent shivers down my spine. Yeah, dinner can wait. And I showed her. I showed her all night what I was feeling. My hands explored every line of her body. My lips found all the most sensitive spots. She was even more beautiful than I'd imagined, even more passionate, even more alive. When we lay in her bed, intertwined with each other, I listened to her breathing and felt her fingers playing with my hair. You know, she said quietly, I never believed in love at first sight, and now I think maybe it's not love at first sight. She lifted her head and looked at me. Maybe it's love at first laundromat dance. I laughed and pulled her closer. Then I need to go there more often. No need. She kissed my chest. You have your own dancer. When the first rays of sunlight peeked through the window, Sophia fell asleep in my arms. And I thought I should write a thank you letter to whoever invented public laundromats. Who would have thought that two mixed up piles of laundry could change everything? And who would have thought that the best night of my life would start with me holding a stranger's panties?